Pav, sounds like the news on Aaron Sandlands is better than what we all thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it sounds like great news in perspective, that is. It's not great to have him out, but certainly positive news. He's only aggravated the toe injury, so it's not anything worse or progressively worse. It seems as though he's a chance not long after the bye.
Was there a concern that he could be out for the season, Pav?
No.
Not at all?
No.
And what about the... Sorry?
No, there wasn't any concern. He was feeling great right up until the moment he did it. And the doctors obviously at that point thought, well, there's no point risking him any further. He came off the ground, they've sent him over there, but it seems like it's a really positive result. And yeah, it's likely only to be sort of 2, maybe 4 weeks.
Well, the strange one, he doesn't do it in training when he's been up and running and getting back to full fitness, and he does it in a game, like just one of those weird moments, I guess.
Well, I guess just goes to show that no matter how much we try to simulate simulate game-like intensity, it's not quite the same as being out there on a Saturday.
Okay, what did you think when you looked over and saw Sandilands and Luke McFarlane sitting on the bench with all the other...
Oh, we'd walk past another black cat. Yeah, look, it's been an indifferent year in terms of losing a lot of players throughout the year, but what I knew is that our young group of players, we have to remain resilient and have a fair bit of resolve, regardless if we got players out or not. And Saturday night was a good example of some of our younger players really playing well and stepping up and taking that burden off, with the fact that Luke and Aaron were both out there with having Alex back and Zach Clark sort of battled manfully in the ruck. I thought those two in particular filled the void for those two players.
Do you think something? Could you actually sit back and think, where would we actually be if we had these blokes on the field?
No, unfortunately, in this industry, it's too hard to sit back and sort of ponder too much or look too far into the future. You really are only concerned about the next week in front of you. So, yeah, we don't have that luxury to do that.
What about your own game, Pav? 5 goals, that's brilliant. I mean, do you feel you've been vindicated in a way with the criticism that you've caught?
I honestly, the external stuff hasn't bothered me or the team. Vindication isn't something that anyone looks for in the game. It was nice to win and nice to play and contribute to that.
What is the best way to answer any critics out there?
Well, it's hard for me to comment because I probably haven't noticed too much that's externally been out there. So I just continue to go about my business week in, week out as a leader and a player. And you always want to play well. Every week you want to go out there and play as well as possible. But the leadership stuff's non-negotiable, and the feedback I've been getting from my teammates and the people within the footy club has been positive. So just continue to do the job that I'm doing.
What does having Sandy sign on till 2014 mean? A lot of people will say your premiership window's open till the end of 2014 now, because you and Sandy are on the list till then.
Yeah, it'll mean that the two of us will be grumpy together until that time. And who is it? And Monday as well. Yeah. So, look, it's great news, to have someone of that calibre and to the club long term, and he'll finish his career here. So there's a few of us now that'll do that, and that's it's really pleasing.
How's Luke mentally, Pav? He has this habit of playing great football for long periods of time and just getting those little niggles.
Yeah, there's another one that's a really positive scan result. He's walking around really freely today. He's had a positive scan result, and there's the potential for him to be a test later in the week. So, yeah, look, he hurt himself on the weekend, and again, given all the injuries we've had, the doctors sort of took a really conservative approach, but he's a chance for later in the week.
Morale-wise, then, obviously have been beaten down by injuries all year. When you get 2 good results later, does it make everyone think maybe the luck is about to turn?
Yeah, luck and all those things are intangible aspects of the game which we can't control. Let's only focus on the things we can control. And look, yeah, maybe there's an element of morale boosting, but all we are focusing on every week is what we can control. And we understand that the Gold Coast this week are going to be a tough task. They're young and they're motivated and they're really driving. You saw in their last quarter up against the Bulldogs that they played really well. So we'll control what we can control. We won't worry about the the stuff that's intangible.
Partly blame the rotations and the three on the bench on the weekend for the number of injuries that you had. Also, there could be a link that needs to be looked at. What are your thoughts as a player?
Yeah, look, I think we're probably at that stage now where there's been some examples, both in a positive and potentially negative way, with the sub rule. I really believe that it's going to take until the end of the year to get a thorough understanding of all the analysis to do with the GPS stuff, the injury rates. So let's just sort of sit back and wait for the entire year to pan out before we jump at shadows either way.
Been discussed by you guys at a rules committee level?
There's been some documents going back and forth, but it hasn't been. We haven't met as yet.
Is Harves put the heat on you at all about it all?
Is it?
Is Harves put the heat on you to do anything to change?
No, not at all.
Just back on Sandy, the fact that he re-injured the toe so soon into his return, has there been a reason for it? Does he know why it happened so quick?
No.
Is there a concern then that even when he does come back, he could re-injure it?
Well, there's a concern. Any injury that any player has, there's any degree of risk coming back from injury. So yeah, there'll be a degree of risk, but I doubt that. Again, they being the doctors and the physios, will take a really conservative approach with him, like they did last time, because he's so important to us, and it'll be a calculated risk.
Just on the Gold Coast, have you noticed a change in their competitive game? I mean, first couple of games, it took them a while to be competitive. They were losing by 10 plus goals, but now halfway through the season, they might be, a bit more challenging than you would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, early in the year, sort of having people write them off the way they did, I thought was, mind-boggling, really. It was going to take a little bit of time for them to develop and understand, the week in, week out of AFL footy, but they have been ultra competitive over the last little period, and it's just been in parts of their game of the four quarters that they probably haven't been able to sustain the effort as much as they would have liked. But we understand we've got a really tough task this weekend, and it's one we're absolutely looking forward to. Anthony Grover, Hayden Ballantyne, trained really well. Mick Barlow is probably, he's a chance to be sort of tested late in the week, but I would have thought that, it was always going to be a chance with Mick that he'd play one, miss a couple, but we're hopeful that if it's not this week, he'll be right for the game after the bye, but we're likely to get Grover, Ballantyne, Muzungu back for this week.
Do you think that can temper expectations of how many games Barlow will play as well as how well he'll play in those games?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when it's an injury of that significance, I think everyone has to temper their expectations, both what he does when he's out there playing for us, but certainly in his ability to back up week in, week out. We only had a 6-day turnaround off of travel, so the likelihood of him playing anyway was limited, let alone with him pulling up a bit sore.
Second milestone for the year with 250 coming up. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, look, it's significant. 250 games means that I've been around for a while and I've been able to sustain, durability and a level of form for a period of time. So it is nice, but what will be nicer is us sitting 8 and 6 come Saturday afternoon.
There aren't so many guys from this state in the AFL system who've been able to keep flying back and forth week in, week out and get much beyond 250. Most of them, I think there's a stack have gone between 250 and 270, which means that next year you
I've only got 20
face a bit
games
of challenge. Yeah, I mean, how do you feel? You must be aware. Are you aware of the study? You're aware of how hard it's been for guys once they get beyond a certain amount to keep going?
Certainly aware that there's not too many guys who've played in Perth and sort of got over about that 260, 270 games. So, but I think there's an element of the game nowadays has probably progressed a little bit from when some of those players that you talk about finished the game. The recovery methods and the sports science element to it has probably come a long way since some of those players have retired. So look, I'm looking forward to game 250 and we'll look at game 251 after that. What
about game 300? So you've got about 70 odd or 80 odd, we include finals of possibility between now and 2014. There's 300 something you'd like to do? Is it on the radar? Is it a goal?
It'd be negligent of me to start thinking 2, 3 years down the track and 50, 60, 70 games away. It really is in this industry such a week-to-week proposition, and we all know by virtue of our absolute situation this year with our injuries that it can change really quickly. So let's focus on 250 and we'll move from there.
There's a big meeting on Wednesday with the players in the AFL. Has that, from our doc's perspective, has that weighed heavily on the players' minds in your eye?
I don't think it's weighed heavily on the players' minds. It's certainly something that all the players in the AFL are looking forward to and meeting and getting an update on where the negotiation is at. But yeah, it's not weighing on our minds, no.
How will it work for you guys? Are you all meeting in one room?
Yeah, we at a hotel in the CBD with West Coast, and it'll be beamed in from Melbourne. So it's a groundbreaking and watershed moment for the Players Association, having every single player attend a meeting, which is going to be terrific and interesting at the same time. But looking forward to it, and it's really important for our members to get a thorough update of where everything is at the moment.
What's your role in that as a delegate or a
Yeah, on the board, yeah. Well, I guess Adam Selwood and I will be sitting next to each other, so that'll be nice. And I think from that perspective, just making sure that things run smoothly. I think there might be some media and things. We're actually finalising the finer details in the next 24 hours.
Are you comfortable with how it's progressing?
Comfortable that it's progressing well. I think both parties, like any negotiation, both parties should be able to leave a little bit on the table, because given that the two parties, the AFL and the AFL Players Association, are going to have to foster a relationship into the future. No one wants to feel dudded in this situation. From our perspective, we feel as though we've been open and transparent, and we're looking forward to finalising a really significant deal that puts the players and the game walking hand in hand.
When do you feel it is realistic to get it done by?
Oh, that's too hard of a question to answer.
Two-part question. Just on the milestone, the most satisfying or highlight and your toughest moment in the 250 games?
Getting to the prelim in 2006 and at least having a crack at a grand final berth, that's certainly the highlight. And last year, sort of really rebounding with our young list and sort of winning a final at home was terrific. The AFL has so many ups and downs that it's hard to pinpoint one low moment. So, that's the roller coaster we live. And there's no other job really that I can think of anyway, off the top of my head, that has the absolute highs and some pretty significant lows as well. So, but that's what we live in, and we understand that.
Have you obviously had to play with injuries over your 250 games? How close to full fitness were you Saturday night?
Look, in my mind, I was always a real chance to play throughout the week. I was a bit sore in a couple of areas, but our physios and docs do a tremendous work, and I spent a fair bit of time with them most of last week. But no, I was always confident I was going to get up.
But there was a rumour doing the rounds that you might not. So was it touch
Well, there's
and go?
always rumours doing the rounds, isn't there?
Was it touch and go, or that you might miss?
No. Look, I trained. I trained on Wednesday, and I trained again on. So I trained. Just trying to think of our main session. Yeah, I trained Wednesday and Friday, and I got through those sessions and what I was asked to do. So on that basis, you can only go from what you're asked to do and prove your fitness on that. So I was confident.